And I just said, well, we could meet at our house. We just felt like God wanted us to be together, and our fellowship with one another was excellent. We didn't want that to fade away. We just had some folding chairs, and we just sat there or stood, whatever, and worship together.
When the church was founded, I was 12 years old. These families, there's about 35 individuals together, began meeting in homes. And after a few weeks, they had asked my dad if he would be willing to be the pastor.
We all agreed with Pastor Ritchie, his preaching and his direction, and we felt like we wanted him to be our pastor.
It was a kind of a unique beginning, the fact that my father had stepped away from a larger denomination, but had a desire to pursue kind of the deeper things of the Spirit and walking with God, and for that reason felt like in order to really pursue that in the manner in which he wanted, he stepped aside at the age of 48 to kind of step out and just trust God primarily.
Pastor Ritchie brought the name to the church of White Harvest Church of God. And so Pastor Alexander and I joined the church shortly after it began. I was in 1975. Pastor Alexander and Pastor Ritchie both were trusting God for revival, and it was part of my heart also.
And then we talked about talking to Baxter YMCA to rent their basement for our Sunday services. The first meeting we had at the YMCA, I remember going over there early because I thought, who's going to set up all the chairs? Nothing better could have happened than for us to be together. And we just became like a close-knit family. Even as we grew, just pursued with everything we had to keep it together.
We were here on County Line Road as it connected with Sherman and puttering along going east. And I thought, oh, look there. There's a for sale sign on that property. That would be a wonderful location for a church. It was a cornfield. And after they prayed, lo and behold, it turned out this was the property that God would have us to buy. On the first anniversary of this congregation, 49 years ago, there was a building fund that the congregation had started, and by the first year they had accumulated $10,000.
Just prior to the purchase, they were led to give $10,000 away to an evangelist who was retiring. So here they are trying to buy a piece of property, and yet the Lord leads them to give all their money away.
On the first anniversary, this congregation gave away their treasury.
And so that was just kind of indicative of the nature and the kind of the generosity that just seemed to permeate the church in its beginnings and in its infancy.
And God, of course, replenished that, and this is obvious what God has done as a result of the years.
It was soon after that that again they were able to raise the money and close on the property.
That's the kind of heart that the people have here. This was a giving congregation.